Thank you very much, and thanks for joining this discussion. I really like this, this nice, simple, well-labelled presenting gun that I have. So thank you very much to REBA for inviting me along to talk today. I'm going to build upon Simon's keynote and David's conversation about the future of tech. Hopefully you're not exhausted this morning by AI yet, because I'm going to talk to you about how AI is going to enable us as benefit platform providers to move from being able to help you deliver personalized benefits to deliver personalization 2.0 or hyper-personalization, and how that's going to provide you, hopefully, with the confidence to go and lead conversations with your board about how changes to your employee proposition are going to result in tangible business outcomes that they care about. So firstly, let's talk about the problem that we're trying to solve. And I realize I'm very much in the realms of risking, teaching grandmother to suck eggs here. But let's look at the fundamentals of building a great employee experience. So we can think about our employee proposition the same way we think about, bringing commercial propositions to market. I'm going to describe it using a tool called a value proposition canvas. It lets us understand who our target segment is and how we go about addressing their needs. So broadly, in the context of an employee proposition, what does that target segment look like? Well, people are broadly coming to work to earn a living. That is their fundamental core job. If you're going to work for a different purpose, you're maybe in a very lucky position. I'd love to talk to you about that afterwards. And what are their needs while doing that? Well, lots of those needs are common across all of your employees. So, most people are going to want to come to work. They're going to want to maximize their earnings. They're going to want to have a positive impact within the context of their role. They're also probably got some similar pain points. So, no one wants to come to work and feel, disrespected, undervalued. They don't want to struggle with their work-life balance. So these common elements, we can start to think about, well, what is our proposition to address that? And we can address each one of these needs through maybe, some fairly consistent solutions. So, deciding where you are within your industry when it comes to pay, making sure that you've got a really clear, positive company mission, and providing people role autonomy. No one wants to feel disrespected, so making sure that they have, we have really clear recognition, rewards based on really meaningful values. We've got a strong EDI program, and making sure, we've got good remote working policies, flexible work policies, and tools to support people's work-life balance. And ultimately, most people in this room are going to be wanting to deliver a market-leading employee experience. The challenge comes, however, when we recognize that there are a lot of differences between different target segments, and they all have specific needs. And this can go on almost, as far as the eye can see, you've probably got at least 100 different cohorts with quite different needs within your organization. A graduate you're looking to hire in South London might be looking at something very different to a senior developer up in Birmingham who, is critical to deliver your business plan over the next 3 years. And they might be focused on getting their children through A-levels, the impending costs of university, building a retirement income, and even within this very simplistic scenario, we might encounter some very different importance placed on those different needs. So, we might have someone who's looking to maximize the time they're available to their family versus someone who wants to increase the opportunities to build their network, someone who's looking for job security versus someone who's maybe looking for opportunities for career development early in their career, someone who's looking to build their retirement income in a fairly short time scale versus someone who wants to remove the time and financial pressures of starting a family. So all of these things start to become very personal. So how do you go about building and promoting an employee experience, an employee proposition around a very diverse set of needs to cater to all of these different target segments? You've got to think about salary, employee benefits, reward and recognition, people policies, culture, learning and development, career progression, tools to do their jobs, work-life balance, equality, diversity and inclusion, leadership, company mission, role autonomy. All of these things that everyone values in a different way. And with all those different needs, it's no wonder in some of the research we did recently that 45% of employees think that their workplace benefits package is inadequate. And that's despite 48% of businesses really investing additionally in their employee benefits package over those preceding years. And there's also a disconnect between what employers want and what employers are offering them. So for example, 21% of employers in our research said that they offer mindfulness programs, but only 4% of employees said that they used the mindfulness programs on offer. Conversely, private medical was cited as the top benefit in demand by employees at 32%, but only 14% said that their current employer offered it. So this requires us to shift from where we are today to what we would deem personalisation 2.0. And really we can distill sort of the problem down to this. And it's, are you confident as a leader in this space? I mean, do you understand the needs of every one of those segments that you're trying to retain, attract, and engage? Do you understand what's going to help you attract customer service agents, maybe in South London, with one demographic, with one set of needs, versus those developers maybe in Birmingham where you're trying to reduce turnover? Are you confident and can you demonstrate how your employee proposition and how the changes to your employee proposition are supported by metrics that resonate with the board? So are you confident in saying, with this change, we absolutely expect to see and have evidence to support that it will lead to a reduction in external recruitment costs of this, of productivity loss as we onboard people into the organization, maybe with a fairly long ramp time in the world of developers in my example? Do you have the data to underpin that allows you to go to the board and justify your additional investment in your benefits program? And lastly, do you have the confidence that you can deliver and position your proposition? Do you have the practical tools to be able to, present 100 different versions of your employee proposition to these different cohorts? I expect there's quite a lot of people in the room thinking no to these questions because it's really hard. We spend a lot of our time in reactive mode rather than being proactive, planful in the way that this would require. Simply understanding the needs of these cohorts, to understand one might take us 2-3 weeks of detailed research. We don't have that time available. We don't necessarily have access to all of the market data. We know what our employee proposition looks like. What does the employee proposition of our competitors look like? And is our data, to David's point, in the shape it needs to be? But I think we'll all aspire to have this level of confidence in the future, and I think this is where AI is going to help us in the future. So I'm not going to be the third person today to talk to you about the fact that there's lots of stories out there about AI taking jobs. And sure, there are repetitive administrative tasks that frankly will be valuable to automate. But I think the value in people teams has never been in administration. And I think AI is going to be a really exciting enabler to help elevate the people team's role and get it much closer to the conversations that the board care about. So if we take those 3 issues one at a time, how is it going to help us become more confident in understanding our people? Well, AI is going to democratize data and the analysis of data, as we heard this morning. And the great thing about AI is it's not going to just sit there and wait for you to ask it the right question. We talked a lot about needing to be proactively asking questions, but actually, it can proactively come to us. So it will proactively tell you when there's opportunities for improvement. Employees in my Birmingham developer cohort have an average attrition of 27%. Ooh, that looks bad. But it's going to tell me why I should care. So it's 13% higher than my company average. It's 11% higher than the industry average for the same sort of roles in the same area. It costs me a tangible number in recruitment fees and in lost productivity every year. The board care about this. And you might already know where some of these problems are within your organizations, or indeed opportunities are within your organization. But when we think about all of those different cohorts and all of those different opportunities, whether you have the time to do the analysis and then prioritize them is where people are currently struggling. And this level of information is just the start. So for that same cohort, AI is going to help us identify potential root causes and the solutions that we are going to be able to address. So our developers are currently paid below the market average in the local area. The leavers from that cohort had fewer roles than people do on average within our organization. Maybe there's a lack of progression within our organization within that cohort. Maybe we know that these people are less satisfied with recognition than some of the other cohorts in our organization who tend to have lower attrition rates. And finally, employees in our software development roles more broadly, not just within the context of our organization, are citing a certain benefit as the most desirable benefit, and it's something we don't currently offer. We've got some really tangible insight that we can go away and we can action. So it's going to help us understand our people and what we need to do, and it's going to call out proactively the biggest opportunities that we have in front of us. And not only is AI going to let us better understand our people, but it's going to allow us to connect those needs to genuine business outcomes. We saw some of that on the last slide, and help that resonate with the board. You guys shouldn't care about benefit uptake. Your CEO doesn't care about benefit uptake, and it is not the measure of success of your business. I'm being a little obtuse because there is some limited value in it as an input metric, but it is not the business goal. It should not be your end objective. Your CEO cares about retention, attraction, engagement, things that have direct, tangible numbers, and how those numbers affect the top and the bottom line. And so AI and the automated analysis behind that as we're taking action is going to allow us to more easily track progress towards the numbers we do care about. So how much is it costing us to deliver those changes? What is the reduction in recruitment costs we're seeing as a direct result of these actions? And what is the reduction in lost productivity costs? Those were the justifications we used with the board to justify this additional work. And then knowing all of that requires us to then be able to deliver that messaging in a different way for all those different people in those different cohorts. And that's really, quite complex. But I think that the power of these AI tools means that we're at a really exciting frontier of personalisation 2.0. And many of the benefit platforms out in the hall already have high levels of personalization within them. So your information relates to your employee benefits, not just a standard set of employee benefits, and the actions you can take relate to you. The meaningful content is based around you as an individual. But we are going to be able to turbocharge that with AI. So now we understand the needs of individual cohorts, or will be able to. I shouldn't say now, because we're talking about the future still. Now that we understand the needs of individuals and we're clear on what actions we want to take and what resonates with them, we can start driving a much higher level of personalization on the platform. So if we think about what a personal feed might look like for someone in that Birmingham developer cohort, growing in your role as a software engineer, we might start to automate which articles, which things appear in their newsfeed. We talked about bringing on private medical. So, they're in a cohort that really values that. Let's promote that, whereas for some other cohorts, we might be promoting some other things. We know that this particular cohort is under-recognized or feels under-recognized. So let's proactively push all of the recognition content higher up the level of importance for this cohort. So I think AI is going to drive some significant changes, and it's going to really turbocharge what we're going to be able to help you do in the future. And I hope everyone finds that really exciting. I certainly find it extremely exciting. But as mentioned previously, it does present risks. And I'm just going to talk about those very briefly in the context of our market. I'm not going to talk about them in terms of the global economic AI risks or terrorism or anything like that, which all, frankly, go over my head there. Pretty complicated. But as it exists in our market. So, people are going to be promising a lot today based on the power of what you have seen in the other room. And there are some really exciting propositions out there in the market already. But equally, some of what those solutions do is either fairly narrow, or it is simply putting a layer on top of some of those really powerful technologies that you've seen earlier. So if you're going to go and have conversations with people who are offering you AI capabilities that seem exceptionally cutting edge, ask a lot of questions. Ask how it works. People should be able to explain this stuff to you and be really clear on top of which technologies are your platform based. We talked about data protection very quickly only. It came up as a point in the other room, a question. I'm going to plead with you now on behalf of your security and data protection teams, don't take all of your HR data, sign up to ChatGPT, and then upload that as an attachment in there without going and talking to them first. Yes, it can give you some really good insight already, but you've got to be really conscious of your GDPR obligations first and foremost. You need a legal basis on which to process this data, and you have to actively communicate that legal basis to your teams. And as mentioned in the other room, there are a really good set of controls that you can now place around that. You just need to make sure they are in place first, and that you're not loading everyone's personal details into somewhere that might inadvertently be picked up later on. And then lastly, possibly the biggest risk in the context of innovation and the speed of innovation is black box decision making. So firstly, I think incomplete data is a real risk, and that's why you're not seeing lots of people charging out there really quickly and just throwing all the data in. If we upload data sets, A, B, C, D, E, into the platform and ask why people are leaving, and it's actually due to data set F, G, H, and a combination of all those factors, it's going to give you the wrong answers. You're going to invest a lot of time and effort into, frankly, solving the wrong problems, and you're not going to see progress. So that's one thing. People, there's lots of really credible technology vendors. They're going to take their time improving this stuff before they launch anything into this space. And the second one that was touched on is bias. And I won't go into it all again, but I mean, in our context, it's as simple as, Amazon were one of the forerunners in this space, and they launched a CV screening tool back in 2014, so almost a decade ago now, relying on their previous decade worth of data. And what did it do? It had learned all of the bias in their existing recruitment process, and it had determined that men were much better candidates than women. So get rid of all of their CVs. They very quickly closed that down. So just to recap, I think, and while we should be cautious about the risks, don't be, still remain optimistic about the potential in this space because it is huge. AI is going to give us confidence, and it's going to give us confidence at scale across all of those cohorts. It's going to give you the confidence that you can understand the needs of those different cohorts, the different individuals. It's going to allow you to undertake analysis, at scale that means that you can track progress against real business outcomes, that you can be confident in talking with your boards. And it's going to allow us ultimately to deliver far, far more engaging and personal offerings for your people. And that's everything. If you do want to ask any questions, then please do come and talk to me at the Zest stand outside.